Hi, I'm Ernie,
And I'm Ben.
and this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Ben, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nerds, welcome back. As always, really good to have you here. And we're really excited to be here because this is another opportunity for us to nerd out about budgets. Now,
Yes.
This episode is especially nerdy because about a month ago, we put out a social post, I think it was on Instagram, asking for your budget nerd confessions. And a whole bunch of you submitted some really good nerdy confessions about things you do in the budget, things you obsess about. And we shared some of those on Jesse's podcast when we were a guest over there. And we had a whole bunch of them that were left over. So we wanted to make sure we had some time to walk through those for you.
Yeah, I mean, we had like dozens of them, and we didn't even get to half of the funniest ones in Jesse's podcast. So we felt like we had to jump in there. And so if you like what you hear today, jump over to the YNAB podcast. Go back a couple episodes, and you can definitely hear some more. But we're going to talk about some of our favorites. And basically, that post was just, what's the nerdiest thing? Something that it would be embarrassed to tell other people that aren't budgeters, right? What's like
or
the
for
thing
some of
do in your
you,
budget?
things that you're not embarrassed and you tell everyone with
That's
pride.
actually true. I don't think anybody here is actually embarrassed about any of this stuff. I mean, if you're a budget nerd, you're proud of it too. So there you go.
Okay,
All right.
I feel like we have to start off with this first one that I have in mind because this is kind of like I'm telling the world about YNAB and my budget. The confession is this. I shared that I use YNAB in an About Me presentation to my new team at work.
That is serious. So you're just like, yeah, this is me. This is where I'm from. This is my family. And then, oh yeah, I use YNAB. That's a major part of my identity too. There you go.
And people are like, okay, cool.
Oh man, they're definitely like, what's going on here? But maybe they're gonna start a revolution at their work, and they're all gonna start using YNAB, and it's gonna be
there
amazing.
we go.
So
well, and I've done something similar.
yeah?
I don't know what kind of questionnaire I was filling out. It might have been like at a doctor's office. I don't know, but they were
told
asking,
your doctor about YNAB?
They were asking what my skills were.
Weird. Wait, were you working at this doctor's office or like?
No, I don't know. I don't know what it was. If it was in for my yearly appointment and those, I don't know, those questionnaires, assessments, whatever. But they were asking
ask
for
you everything.
skills, and I'm like, I don't have any skills. Then I'm like, budgeting.
Yep.
Like I'm really good at budgeting.
I talk a lot about budgeting. I know all about that. So there you go. And it's part of who you are.
Very true.
All right. Well, I have another one right here. This one's near and dear to my heart because I do this kind of thing a lot. I pay extra off my mortgage every month and make sure it's rounded to the nearest $1,000. Do you do any of this, Ernie? Like just arbitrarily round things up to the nearest dollar?
I don't. And it's funny that we mentioned this one because of YNAB, I actually stopped rounding like tips, even at the gas pump. You just
those two things. That's what I was going to talk about.
Because I'm not using cash.
Oh,
and I'm not doing the math myself, so I don't need to be round stuff up. I can just be exact. It is what it is. And then I let the budget calculate everything else for me. So I'm like, I don't need to do this anymore.
Opposite. I do this. I don't know why. I just have to. When when I'm doing a tip at a restaurant, I round to the nearest dollar. So like I'll get the tip and then I'll add on the certain number of cents that I need to make it get to the next dollar. I don't know why. I just do it. I do this at the gas station too. Like I know you're not supposed to do this. I'm probably gonna blow up my car one day. But like the pump stops and it says, well, now it says like this ridiculously high number, and it's like just a weird number, and so I'll just kind of like pump that little pump a few times until it gets to the next dollar, and then sometimes I'll go over the dollar, and I'm like, I'm so upset. And so what I do then is I pump it up a little bit more till I get to the next quarter. So it's not
Yep.
always a dollar. It's either to the 50-cent mark or to the next dollar, or if I go over on accident, which is just a pain, I go to the next quarter. So, but yeah, it's got to be like a round number, or at least to the next quarter there for me.
Okay,
I don't know
so
why.
what about in the budget? What, especially with those categories where you're not usually working with whole numbers or, to the quarter amounts, right? Like the groceries. And you have I have $300.37 in the category. Are you going through every category and rounding it?
I don't do that. No,
Okay.
I don't care about that. Although I will say when I'm making changes to my targets, sometimes I do that. Like I think I talked about this when I talked about my fresh start episode, right? I had a weird target on my grocery category because of this this whole complicated system that I used in the past. And yeah, I rounded down to the nearest dollar because it was just silly,
Okay,
So I do kind of that stuff a little
that
bit.
bothers me too. Yeah, sometimes I break out those yearly expenses and the monthly amount is like, whatever dollars and 67 cents. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's
that bothers me
annoying.
so much. I yeah, the two also, it's not really real because if it's 67 cents, it's actually six repeating, right? Because it's a third or two thirds. And so it's just like, oh man, I know this. I know this is just a rounding thing and it really should be an infinite unroundable number, but you can't, we live in the real world and we can't do imaginary irrational numbers. But I wish we could, honestly.
I feel like this rounding issue, boy, there's a lot to unpack here. We almost need a full episode dedicated to this.
I probably have a problem, honestly. Like I there's really no reason to be obsessed with rounding these numbers, but it's just I don't know. I guess I'm not obsessed with it. I'm fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, totally fine.
Let's not affecting my well-being. All right, let's move on. You want me to say this one, Ernie, or actually, you're next. You go ahead.
Yeah, my turn. So here's the confession. I rejoice when the last day of the month falls on a weekend so I can close my budget early. And I get that.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I like when it falls on the weekend because I'm thinking of my tracking accounts, specifically in the investments. So the market closes on Friday, say for example, but the last day of the month is then on Saturday. Well, I know that on Saturday morning, my investment accounts will update because for some of them it updates in real time, but others it takes the next day before.
Man, so you know exactly which account updates when and everything.
Yes, I know, very nerdy, right?
That's great.
So I feel like I can dial in those tracking account balances really, really close when the last day falls on a weekend.
Oh, right, because you don't have to, otherwise they're not all aligned. Like some of them have closed and some of them haven't, right?
Right. So if the last day of the month is on a Friday, that balance that I log into and grab on Friday night is not going to be reflected from that day's activity.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Like the market could crash that Friday evening or something. I guess the market would be closed then anyway, but yeah, it's just that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't feel this one because I don't do a real end of the month routine aside from, I mean, if there's any overspending or something like that I haven't covered already, I'll cover that. But I don't really do that. Aside from, well, I guess I do. I just do it with my wife. We have a budget meeting, but I don't like go through and move money that is left over. I just let almost everything roll over in a category. So and I don't necessarily do the investments accounts every month. I just do it. It's kind of arbitrary. I just do it whenever I feel like it, pretty much.
Yeah. So this one really is for those people that, have that end of the month routine. We're weeks ahead. We're kind of looking to see when does that end of the month day, when does it fall?
Yeah.
And then we're planning everything around that.
I mean, we're recording this in February. So, I mean, when does it end for this month? I mean, it looks like the 28th falls on a Monday. So yeah, it's not gonna go too well this time. But that's okay.
Yeah, and I teach on Monday night, so it's gonna be a late night closing out the February budget.
You're
but
gonna
that's
have
okay.
To draw that bubble bath real late at night. You're gonna wake up your whole family. Oh man.
I'm budgeting again.
There goes Ernie budgeting at midnight in his bubble bath. All right. For the record, Ernie does not do that. I just say he does. All right. So
And now I think Jesse's in on it too.
Everybody thinks this. I'm like, everybody's like, should we be concerned about Ernie? He's like has electronics next to the bath. It's dangerous.
They think I cut my lawn with scissors.
But you said in the bath. Okay, this is a whole other thing about Ernie did a presentation at work. We do that about random things sometimes, and yeah, you implied heavily that you cut your lawn with scissors, and so we all know that's
no.
true.
I was very clear that I do the edges, but that it takes me sometimes days because I just do a little bit each day.
So you do okay. You cut some of your lawn with scissors.
Lawn shears.
Exactly. It's like rounding up the categories or whatever. You know, you got to round up the edges of your lawn. You know. I one day hope to have a lawn that looks good enough to where it's even worth thinking about using shears. But anyways, let's move on. Let's see. Triplet Mom 3 says, I like to reconcile on my phone so I get the vibration and confetti. That's a fun one.
Yeah, especially that confetti. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we added that. Well, reconciliation on mobile is actually fairly new. And yeah, there's a little confetti pop, which is pretty fun. Yeah, I like that.
All right, here we have one. I budget when I need a pick-me-up.
Love that.
Right, tough day at work, tough day with the kids. Sit down.
Get the bubble bath. Bringing it up every time.
Instead of Netflix,
you don't need the bubble bath because you have the relaxing budgeting process.
Yeah, I just need the couch. I don't even need the couch. Just give me the phone. All right, give me a computer.
Just
open
stand
up the budget.
Around. Just like,
move some numbers around.
Just like stand reconcile. In the snow and reconcile. You don't even care.
Yeah, just as long as I have my budget.
You know what?
It is, I get that one.
There's a lot of unhealthy ways to relax, and this is a healthy way to relax. You're taking care of your finances, and you're relaxing your soul at the same time. It's good.
That's what I tell myself.
It's basically like meditation. It's pretty much exactly the same thing. It's just, in budgeting form. There we go. YNAB, meditation in budgeting form.
We're saying all of this to make ourselves feel better.
Okay, this one I think is going to spark some conversation. I will spend hours picking out the perfect emoji for each category. That's perfect.
You're a big emoji guy. We talked about this numerous times.
Yeah, we actually talked about it a little bit on our we talked a little bit about it on Jesse's podcast actually, because it came up. But yeah, I love my emojis. I'm actually pulling up my budget right now.
And would you say you put hours into those emoji decisions?
Maybe not hours, like Triple Mom here, but I do think about it quite a bit. And I've made changes, because it's just this one's not really sitting right. I have a few that I'm really proud of. Like, let's see. Okay, this is probably one of my favorites. I'll post a screenshot of this one. For my car insurance, I have 3 emojis. I've got a car. And then I got another car, and in between them, I have a little explosion. Because it's like, you get a car accident and you got your car insurance. So there you go. That
sounds a little bit more violent than a...
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's kind of like me with my life insurance with the skull and crossbones. Like, it's a little bit morbid. I for some reason, I'm getting a little bit morbid every time here. This one I love is my diapers category is just a poop emoji because of course it is, right? I bet I'm not the only one who has the poop emoji in their budget.
And it's just one. I mean, I would have multiple, like just a lot, 20 of them.
That's actually a good idea because I have a newborn arriving very soon here. And yeah, there's a lot with newborns. There's a lot of that. A lot of diapers there are poopy. So
that
there
is
you go.
Coming soon. This might actually be our last episode together for a little bit because you're taking some time off.
I'll be taking some time off, and it's funny because I think this is going to air. It's going to go on YouTube and on the podcast probably while I'm gone. Actually,
yeah, in March.
Hopefully, actually, because otherwise it would be quite late, and that would not be fun. But yeah. So we could talk about that. I think you're planning on doing some budget nerds with other people while I'm gone. Isn't that right, Ernie?
Yeah, I know for sure we're going to be talking with Aaron, lead
Oh yeah,
educator, just
great.
trying to dial in a topic. I know there's a million things that Aaron could talk about.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
she can talk
but
about
she just
anything.
went through a big home renovation, so I'd love to hear about that. And she's a
Mm-hmm.
master of groceries.
Yeah, you guys should. You don't have to have a specific topic. You guys should just talk about your budgets. I think that'd be fun.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
talk
good
about what's
point.
going on. One more. Well, I talked about on the podcast my fixed bills category that has like 20 emojis on it. Well, okay, 20. It has 5, but or 6, but that's fine. But I also really like my retirement category. I just think it's sweet. It has a little, old man, a little old woman, next to the retirement. Yeah, I don't know. It just makes me happy. Like the idea
So
of
no
growing
plans
old
to
my way.
retire early.
Well, yeah, I think about that. I'm like, hopefully, I don't actually look as old as these emojis are when I retire. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's one thing I always like try to say. Well, retiring doesn't mean necessarily you have to be an old person. But that's what we associate with. So
Right.
I put those little emojis.
I get the
don't
point.
know. I just think it's kind of nice. So so there you go. Yeah, so those are
Now,
mine.
this one kind of, boy, I mean, it kind of crosses a line for me.
Really?
I just remember, and I remember this so vividly, and I know I've shared this in previous episodes, but laying in my bed one night, and it felt like I had spent hours going through every category, thinking through just the right emoji, thinking through, do I put it in front of the category or behind the category? If I put it in front of the category, is it one space between emoji and text, or is it 2 spaces, and experimenting and seeing what looks better? And I did that. What I said felt like hours. And then I got to the point where I just asked myself, what am I doing with my life? Like,
did you have like a budget nerds like come to like? Did you have like a moment where you're just like, oh no, like maybe I'm spending too much time on this?
It felt like I'd crossed a line, and so I deleted all the emojis, and I said, enough is enough.
Well, you have just emojis in the category group names. Is that right? Yeah, and I think that's good. That's good.
So once I had cleared my
a little
head,
color in the budget, but
then I spent hopefully 5 or 10 minutes figuring out those group emojis and then moving on.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it on the podcast, but I want to hear on the YouTube comments too. What do you guys do? Emojis in front, emojis on or after the name of the category? Because it's a big debate.
And share your favorite emoji. Like if there's maybe a combo that you have like Ben that you're proud of, put that in there too.
Yeah. Like my emergency fund has like a little tornado and like a siren light. I don't know. It's just fun. It's
so good.
Little things, So yeah, share those things. And I'm an emoji in the front guy because they got to line up, even though they don't really line up because I put multiple emojis on some of them. But
right,
but I can't do it on the back. It's just too. It
doesn't look
wild.
right.
That's just wild and free. But maybe some people are like that. That's fine.
All right. I think this is my last one here.
Okay.
I stare at my budget every day. Just stare and wish it was the beginning of the month again. Yeah, I mean, I could have written that myself because sometimes I do just that. Maybe I need that pick me up, or maybe just for no reason at all, open the budget and stare at those numbers. And then wishing for the beginning of the month. I'm assuming this, YNABer is that month ahead, and that's when they do all of their assigning of the money. And that's a fun process, but it only comes once a month.
I know. And maybe that's why it's so sweet, because it only comes every once in a while, or maybe every time you get paid. But I totally resonate with this. I remember for a long time after the new YNAB came out, back I was using YNAB 4, and then when the new YNAB came out, it was web based, and all of a sudden I could have it open at work because I was not working at home at the time, and I think that actually made quite a difference in my interest in the budget because I just had it open all day and I just look at it every once in a while.
Where am I at with auto maintenance? Oh, cool.
Yeah. Anything changed? Nope. Still the same as 10 minutes ago. Okay. I don't know. I just liked it. It was just nice to be right there, and I could take it to work with me, and it's just my little buddy just hung out there. So, I don't leave it open all day anymore, but I don't know. Maybe I should just stare at it a little more.
Kind of, this is a little off topic, but the transition from old YNAB 4 to the new YNAB, budget nerds had to love that for that very reason, where it was just so much more accessible. Because I remember in my previous job, I even considered installing YNAB 4 on the computer.
I think I tried, and it was not allowed, because reasons.
Yeah, I know mine could have been allowed, and then I would have been able to do my budgeting in the morning before I started everything. But yeah, I probably would have kept it open all day and done zero work at all. So, but not with the web app, it's just all access all the time.
Yeah. The productivity among YNABers just fell through the floor.
But boy, were they in control of their money.
They sure were. They might not keep their job very long, but they're...
Doesn't matter. There's so many months ahead.
That's right. Yeah, they don't care.
Fire me.
Oh man. Oh, I love it. All right, I got one more, and this is nice because when we're recording this, it's just a few days after Valentine's Day. I convinced my wife to start YNAB on Valentine's Day 2019. Still married and debt free. They said, love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would that look like? Like, do you imagine them like at a fancy restaurant and they're like about to put this fancy restaurant on a credit card and they have no plan to pay for it, and they're like I don't know, how does this conversation go? It seems like a kind of a weird thing to talk about on a Valentine's Day date, but maybe it's not. I don't know.
Or maybe this YNABer was already a nerd, right? Obsessed with YNAB, and it's okay, here's some chocolates, here's some flowers, here's a card. Now here's what I really want to talk to you about. This app on my phone that I'm always staring at?
Honey, if you really want to show me how much you love me, this is one way you can do it. Jump onto YNAB with me. There you go.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, I think you're right, though, because it says, I convinced my wife to start YNAB on Valentine's Day, which maybe implies that they, 2100, this person who posted it, maybe they were already using YNAB, but their wife hadn't gone on it. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm imagining, this was thought of maybe months in advance, right? Like planning everything out. This is when I'm going to drop YNAB on them.
Moment. I love how they said still married and debt free. Like I don't worry, it worked. I'm still married, even though I convinced her to join YNAB. I'm still married. It's sweet though. I like that a lot. There's many relationships that have been strengthened by a good budget, I think.
Well, for Christmas a couple of years back, I bought the whole family YNAB T-shirts from the swag sale. Yeah.
Oh, did you really? That's awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
So we all have matching YNAB T-shirts.
Do you ever like put them all on together and go out together at the same time?
No, I think I proposed the idea, but the boys said, "Nah."
I don't think your teenagers would be too into that. No. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, I think that's all we got. Is that right, Ernie? Anything else you wanted to bring up here?
Yeah, 8 confessions, and I think we covered them all.
Yeah, that's about all of them. So thanks, guys, for doing that. Maybe we'll do something like this again. Be on the lookout on socials. Sometimes we ask for people for questions just for like a Q&A kind of thing. So maybe we'll do something like that again, too. It's always fun to actually hear from you guys and then react to that. But first, before we go, we need to talk about some YNAB wins.
Yep, YNAB wins. Let's do it.
Who's all in your mind?
Okay, so we have 2 wins, and I kind of love it because it's Michaela and Michael. So I mean, that's just perfect.
Hey, perfect.
So yeah, let's go with Michaela's first. Michaela says, my YNAB win is that as someone in a minimum wage 0-hour job, I've managed to get 1 to 2 weeks ahead. I'm paid weekly, so this is a couple of paychecks for me. I'm also on track to pay off my student overdraft before it starts accruing interest in the spring. Love that. Yeah, it makes such a difference. Even if you're not paid a whole lot, managing that money carefully, you can still achieve things like this. It's like getting a couple weeks ahead. It's a big deal. I love it. Good job,
just
Michaela.
That breathing room of getting a little bit ahead, right? Aging those dollars, boy, that makes a big difference, right? In terms of flexibility, stability, security. Love that.
Yeah, love that.
My win comes from Michael. Michael says, YNAB win. Estimated our joint income, created all our categories and set goals for them all. Was a little surprised at how tight it ended up, but still made it work with decent money going to savings as well. And then I realized in my joint income estimation, I had only accounted for half of my partner's monthly income.
Oh, man.
Good feeling. Right. So
That's
you're
the
creating
best.
that budget blueprint, right?
Mhm.
Which we're starting to, call it instead of that template. That's kind of not the coolest name, but the
Yeah, we're working
blueprint.
on it. Yeah.
And then you realize, whoa, we have a lot more margin than what we thought we had. Oh, it's almost like free money, extra money.
You ever do that? You have like a happy calculation mistake that ends up making your situation even better than you thought because or does it always
No.
go the other way for you, Ernie?
Usually, no, I don't even remember them going the other way either.
Well, you're just like, I don't make calculation mistakes.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but since you did, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. But I like that. It's kind of a good little experiment because you could be like, hey, what could we make it on just one income or half of my income or something like that, and maybe make a budget with that. I've done that before. Just like, what would happen if my wife lost her job? Oh, and seeing like, oh, you know what? It'd be tight, but we'd be okay. That kind of a thing. It feels good. So yeah, I think it's a good exercise to do, even if you do it by mistake. So there you go.
Very cool.
Love it. All right. Well, I think that's all of our YNAB wins and all of our YNAB confessions for today. I hope you guys had fun, had as much fun as me and Ernie did talking about it. If you guys have a YNAB confession, a budget nerd confession, that is, a nerdy confession about how you use your budget, let us know in the comments, and we'd love to see it. Maybe we'll do another one of these again later on.
All right. Thanks again. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Happy budgeting.
All right. Happy budgeting.